Hi, my name is Mark. I'm one of the new guys, and since people were saying nice things about the storage boxes that I made for my stones and sharpening supplies, I thought I'd make a quick video and show you how I did it. So this is the one I use for the stones, and the one that sits next to it in my cabinet, I've got a short shelf. They slide right in very nicely. This is what the empty storage box looks like. So I made these myself. I'm not a woodworker, just a hobbyist, and it's really not that tough. You don't need much in the way of tools. And so here's how it's done. First of all, this stock here on the edges is standard stock that I got at the hardware store here in Portugal, very similar to like a Home Depot in America, but you know, basic store that sells basic wood. This is pine, and so there's a really long, I got a couple of these long ones, and they cut them right there at the store for me. I drew a picture with the dimensions as I wanted, the finished dimensions as will fit in my cabinet, and then I kind of just calculated just with, you know, calculator and pencil and ruler, figure out how big these things have to be. So I had them cut 2 of these, and these, as you can see, go the entire length. And then these, you just have to calculate a little less for the thickness of this, for this piece here. So I got the 2 longs and the 2 shorts, and the other box is identical, so 4 longs, 4 shorts. The back side is more or less the same. It's just a plywood. It's like almost the same thickness. It was a slightly different piece of wood, but it's the same material. And then I had them cut that to the exact shape as well. These are from IKEA. These are IKEA plate racks. There are 2 of them. One uncut, and then this one's shorter and it's cut. And I also had to remove one of the sets just with a small saw blade, and that was because I wanted to put a little plastic box in here that holds a flattening lapping plate. So on the bottom are a couple of little chair pads, like felt chair pads, so that they slide really nicely in and out of the cabinet. So basically the first thing I did was to, what was the first thing I did? Drilled a bunch of pilot holes, very, very thin pilot holes. These screws are super, super skinny screws, and they're very shallow and very, very thin. Everything's glued and screwed, and I just got basically the tiniest screws I can get, but they are deep enough where they go through the entire length of this part, and then probably the same amount of, like another 8 millimeters into the wood. So they go pretty deep, and they bite pretty well. They're coarse wood screws, but just very tiny. Yeah, so you just need some basic clamps, and I think what I did was, I think I clamped everything like this, around like this to hold the glue in, and then I did the pilot holes and screwed these little screws all the way around, and then of course did them in here, so each side has screws in that way. So that was it, and you let it dry for like 24 hours. To do this, and this is not very, this could be done better, as you can see. That's not my best work, but like I told you, I'm not a woodworker. I basically drilled a couple of holes, and then I used a very skinny hand wood saw, almost like a hacksaw blade, but made from wood, so you could put one of those in a hacksaw, and just basically cut around. And then once I got it roughed in, I used a file and some sandpaper. There's probably a more elegant way to do that. Maybe if you have a Dremel or I don't know exactly what, but I didn't have any special way of carving these ovals. Honestly, I don't even think you need them, because in my cabinet you can just reach in here to pull them out, and then you can just hold them this way. I do use the handles a little bit, but I don't even think they're necessary. So on this one, I did the same thing for the outer box, let everything glued, dried, screwed, the whole thing. And then these guys, I cut the one to length so it would fit in, so I could fit 2 of them in. And then I did the same thing with clamps. I put like a piece of wood just sitting on top of these fingers, and then I clamped the whole thing down so it was pushing this into the box with glue underneath. And then I put the screws, as you can see, quite a few, every 10 centimeters or so. So, and this thing is pretty well made. one of the things I noticed from the beginning was I didn't have this white plasticky coating. I just used like a spray urethane or something like that, inside and out. And the outside, it has a nice look and feel. It's very smooth. I did several coats. It's water resistant. You're not going to soak it, but if it gets water on it, it's fine. But in this area, this is where you put damp stones. The problem is damp stones in proximity with this wood, mold was growing on it. So it was a little annoying. Basically what I do now is I take my stones after I've used them and I set them on a sheet pan, and sometimes even like a little cooling rack for baking inside the sheet pan, so there's just airflow, and set them on there and just set them, you know, somewhere in the kitchen for a day or so. And then once they're dry-ish, I put them back in here, or as long as I can leave them out until they're dry, I put them back in here. But even here, you can see, let's see back here, whoops, everything's backwards. There, that black stuff, and actually here is even worse. You can see it somewhere in there. That's mold growing, and I don't know, I try to wipe it off. There's not much I can do about it. So after I noticed that the mold grows, I took the wood finish that's inside and just sanded, roughed it up a little bit, and I taped everything off and sprayed this plasticky white stuff. I think the first company to make it was called Plastidip, and they use it. It's like a soft, grippy plastic that they use on like screwdriver handles, things like that. Well, now several companies make it, and you can get like a plastic spray. So that's what this is, and I still think it's good, even though it does still mold a little bit. Now I'm just trying to let my stuff dry out a little bit more before I put it in here. But that's it. It's you know, it's a few days project. You could do all the woodworking in a day, but after the glue is dry, then you want to get in there with your small orbital sander and sand everything so all these things are really smooth. Then you want to put a coat of spray on it. And so, you know, it's a day or two for the woodworking, and then a few days leaving the project in your garage or your back patio while you do coat after coat of whatever finish you want to apply. But at the end of the day, they're awesome. They look nice and they hold all the stones really well. I can fit a whole bunch of stones in here. So if you're inspired, make it happen. Anyway, hope I can help. Thanks. Bye.